Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about standing posture now. So this is a step-by-step process you can take to kind of get a better understanding of where ideal posture should be, and a way to take a look at yourself to see if you can get close to it. So I'm going to just suggest, if you stand, you want to take a picture of yourself. If you're just standing, take a picture straight from the side. And some of the things that we're looking for is, I've got the sticky notes on the main landmarks that we look at when we're looking for how lined up the posture is. So we're kind of looking for these spots to be stacked on top of each other, stacked nice and straight. So the first one is right the center of the knee joint. This one is the most bony part of the hip joint, or the hip bone. It's called the greater trochanter, but it's the boniest spot. So if you are feeling around on the sides of the hip, it's the boniest spot. That's the second one. The third one is the tip of the shoulder. So there's a joint right there, but you want to find just the tip of the shoulder, or it actually is the boniest spot. So that's where the clavicle and the scapula meet together right here, tip of the shoulder. Then the little front of the ear, so kind of where just in front of the opening of the ear. Okay, so then I'm going to stand and kind of take a picture of myself and see if I can draw a line from each of those spots and kind of see what lands in front of the line and what lands behind the line. So lots of different things that people do. So very common, this is a very common one. So very common for people to have this hips kind of in front of the line and the upper back kind of behind the line. So you can see how that doesn't connect the dots there. Then another common one is this, where the hips are bent and my eyes are up and my neck is in an extended position. And again, you can see where the different areas are going to be not in the position of least stress. Some areas are short and some areas are long. So those two examples, so if I take this example, this would be an example where I'm sort of pushing the hips forward, and this ends up being, it's a passive way to stand. So it's a lazy way to stand. I talk about it being like you're hanging on your ligaments. So when we get tired, we get in lazy postures because it's easy. We don't have to use our muscles. We can hang on our ligaments and just rely on the ligaments to hold our skeleton against gravity instead of activating the muscles to hold our bodies in those ideal positions. So one thing that you can try to do, well, first take a look at your own posture and see how well your landmarks are stacked up on each other. And here's just a little sequence you can think about to go through to see if you can create a more activated, vertically lengthened posture. So first, I'm just going to pay attention to what my feet feel like on the ground. So I'm going to feel, where is the weight happening through my feet? Does it feel like it's in the toes and the heels? And then to explore that, I'm going to kind of tip my body backwards and forwards. And backwards and forwards. Trying to only bend at the ankles to just kind of feel my weight being more dominant on the front of the foot, then my weight more dominant on the back of the foot. And then I want to find a spot where the weight is pretty evenly distributed, and as I'm going backwards from the front position, there's a spot where I start to activate the quad muscles. And that's kind of where I want to be, because I know then if the quads are activated, I'm not going to be hanging on my ligaments of my knees and my hips. So then once I've got the quads activated, then I'm going to make sure that I want to look for a neutral position in my back and my hips. So I want to make sure, I call it breaking at the hips. So in other words, it's to get rid of this sensation. I want to be broken at the hips. Then I'm going to think about that vertically lengthened sensation, ponytail being towards the ceiling, and belly button in. So I'm creating some tension down here. Then the same steps as in sitting. Shoulder blades down and back. Little tension in those postural muscles between the shoulder blades. Sternum or chest is a little bit rising up to the ceiling a little bit. Ponytails to the ceiling. So there's my best rendition of stacking those spots, and hopefully that's close to a straight line for demonstration purposes. And that's a start in how to kind of, and it takes work, it's work to activate all those muscles to create that, but that's your vertically lengthening. You're trying to find that neutral or that positionally stress, and then on top of that have some muscle activation to be dynamic in that position.